call is she on downstairs?
I think so, yeah, because she's downstairs. She already set up.
Okay.
She's waiting for 11.
Give it a half a minute. Okay, good morning. This is the Public Safety Building Committee meeting for August 16th, 2018, 11 a.m. I'll call the meeting to order here at Town Hall, 139 Main Street, Raleigh. The meeting is being recorded for a later viewing on Raleigh Community Television, so we're both video and audio recorded, just for the information of everyone involved. At the moment, awaiting the fire chief's on a call, so it'll be a few minutes before he gets here, otherwise we're all present. The first item on the agenda is to discuss the paving of the entrance to Ayers Park. Now we talked with Jason.
Yes.
We all agree that's going to be done at the same time they do all the other paving over
work at the building.
He's going in approximately 10 feet from the end of the inside end of that island, right?
Right. We have a drawing that shows what the scope is,
okay.
And we're waiting for. He's going to give us, of course, a price before he proceeds with the work.
And that'll be over and above that'll be an add-on because we added that on afterwards. It's just the entrance to the Ayers Park there. We just want to make sure that the paving goes in far enough so that traffic coming in and out of the playground area will not run into a problem of wearing away the gravel right before it turns onto 133. We'll have to make arrangements too for the highway department when they get that done to bring some of that road shavings down there to raise it up so that it's level and pretty solid. Okay, anything else on that? And yeah, did he give us an indication? I know there's a lot of digging going on over there. I don't remember what he said about September, October, maybe for the paving time.
Yeah, I would guess it's probably going to be a little earlier than that, but it'll probably be mid-September, mid to late September.
Because they're going to do the police and fire, they're going to do all that at once.
That's the idea.
The initial base binder coat.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else on that one?
Nope.
All right, the furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Now, I met with both the fire chief and the police chief last week. I had a brief meeting with them just to discuss the issues of the furniture and with both departments. The fire chief's not here, but basically the understanding with him is, and he can correct us when he comes in, but in other words, they're moving from the old station, which the town basically owns nothing there. I mean, we rent that building from the fire association. A lot of people are surprised. They don't realize we don't own that building. So they're basically gonna have all brand new furniture. And the chief has been meeting with two companies, WB Mason, and I forget the name of the other one. K&I. And he's coming up with a round figure, and it's nowhere near complete, but somewhere around $60,000. We'll be looking at maybe cutting a little bit of that back, depending on what furniture he really needs at that point. Then I met with Chief Dumas. We talked about you've got furniture stored at the school. In fact, why don't you go ahead, Chief, and explain your situation?
Well, we do have furniture stored at the school, and the furniture is in good shape. The problem with the furniture is it was designed for offices that are bigger than the offices that are going in, and it was designed for a specific setup within the offices. So, some will work, some won't. And it's a matter of pulling that stuff out and looking at it. Now, I've also been approached by other departments asking about the furniture, so it's not like it wouldn't go to waste. Within the town, it certainly could and be upgraded. Like I said, it's in decent shape. So if it works, we'll use it. If it doesn't, we just can't. So that's kind of where we're at.
Okay.
And I know the estimates that we were getting for the furniture for the PD is roughly in the same ballpark as with both companies. I think one was a little bit more expensive than the other, but as fire chief, I think he said in previous meetings, what we looked at was just furniture that was going to last, but it certainly wasn't exorbitant. It was middle of the road, but our biggest concern was making sure that it lasted more you know, than a couple of years. As, you know, you can get a whole building outfitted cheaply, and it just won't last and cost you more in the long run. So we were pretty frugal when we were looking at it, and certainly weren't. We had the budget in mind when we met with both companies.
Yeah, I just talked about yours, Chief. Welcome. And to seeing you had a call, so hopefully the person's going to be all right.
We'll see.
We'll see. Okay, thank you.
Took a lot of us to get him done.
Oh, I'm sure. That'd be hot up there, too.
It was.
I just mentioned the fact that we met last week, and you were talking somewhere between the two companies, 60,000, give or take.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance.
Yeah, and it's got to be honed down. Obviously, we're round figures. Each building is going to have to look at exactly what's needed and so on and so forth. But I guess a lot of it's going to be ordered ahead of time. So we're going to be getting to the point where we're going to have to start making some decisions on what's ordered and what's not. And Debbie, you mentioned that a lot of this stuff is available on the state bid list from those companies.
State
Yeah,
contracts.
so they don't have to worry about, because you'll have to go out to bid, they can use combines.
Yeah,
That'll make a big difference if we don't have to go to
Yeah.
bid because
And
it's the time and
I
the
don't know about the other
paperwork.
company.
both companies are under state contract.
So you can go right onto combines and get it that way. It's so much easier. Then otherwise you have to do a solicitation to those companies unless you purchase all the items off that contract.
So, okay. Just as we reiterated, we are buying just furniture, not, we ran into some problems with the school issue, and, we're just buying furniture and fixtures and furniture that's office-related, not, no supplies or other types of things at this point, so I imagine you guys will be honing in your list of exactly what you're gonna need based on what spaces are available and where you want to fit stuff. Greg, have you got anything, or Neil, anything on furniture that you want to add?
No, we had sent out the WB Mason furniture plan to another vendor, someone we've used in the past on other public projects. His purchasing method is through, he's not on state contract, but he purchases through the MHEC consortium, which is a Massachusetts Higher Education
Consortium.
which is sort of considered an equal to the state bid contract. So we've asked him to put a price together. He sent me some preliminary numbers that were, they looked okay to me. They were a little over the line item that we had identified, but that hasn't been really scrubbed or reviewed by the chief or anything else. So very preliminarily, I'd say we're in the ballpark, and then we'll refine and see where we go from there.
Now, there's money, there is furniture money in the budget, right?
Yes.
As it was bid out?
Yes.
So we're tapping against that fund, and if it comes over, then it comes over, but
Yeah.
at least
Yeah, so it's right.
about 99% of it should be covered within the
So
budget.
when we had established the original budget, and this goes back to really the preliminary schematic design, if you will, the number that was budgeted was $778,050. So we really haven't committed, with the exception of the tower expense, which has already been purchased under state contract, we haven't committed anything against that line item. So we're really dealing with about $700,000 to outfit both buildings for technology, furniture, equipment, anything that's owner furnished prior to dipping into contingency.
Right,
So we'll evaluate all the various packages that will go out over the next 60 to 90 days and provide updates as necessary, so that everybody understands what we're spending and how we're spending it.
Now, excluding, and we'll talk about it in a minute, the communication center, where do we stand on the technology stuff that isn't included on the, as part of the communication center? Have we honed in any numbers, or?
No, we haven't.
We do have two proposals in for that work.
Yeah.
And we have to kind of scrub the numbers and make sure that they're true and correct at this point.
Okay.
But when you talk about technology, what exactly are you talking about? I mean, is it just the cabling, or is that part of the cabling, or is it computers, is it hardware, is it servers?
There's a whole series of stuff. There's the dispatch center per se, which is all of the radios, the equipment, the furniture, and so forth.
Right.
That's all a separate package.
Right.
And then we have a separate RFP for the technology cabling throughout the building. We have another package for the security systems. There's actually a separate package for LW bills for the fire-related stuff. So we have a series of those, and we have proposals in on all of this stuff right now. Neil and I are kind of, as I said, and Chick are scrubbing the numbers to make sure that the scope is correct. I know that Chick met with you guys earlier this week, and
But that's one of the questions I've had. I don't want to speak for the fire chief, but it's all lumped into one thing, but we don't know what's, there must be a ballpark for furniture, there must be a ballpark for technology, there must be a ballpark for security, as far as what you're looking at and those line items, because these companies, they're meeting with us, they're saying, what do you need? Well, here's what we need.
Right.
And then they're giving us numbers, but we don't know where we need to be, because we're gonna say, well, here's what we need, here's what we need, in a state-of-the-art station, so we don't have to, come back again and say, we need to improve, this is what we need. But it's wants, wishes, and, needs, wants, and wishes, so if we can get the wishes in, great, but if we can't, based upon the budget, that's what we need to know, kind of where those silos are for these different line items, and
we'll follow up with you next week. We have fairly detailed spreadsheets that list all of the equipment, everything that's going into these, and going into both buildings.
Right.
I mean, it's good detail, and it is something that I wasn't sure what Chick was doing with you on Monday, but I thought that he was going line by line with stuff. Apparently not.
Not really. No.
We need to do that, and we'll do that. We'll set up a time next week if that's agreeable.
Okay,
Chick's been away this week, so I'd like to get.
He's in a meeting currently right now.
Neil's available. Get the four of us at a table,
Right.
5 of us at a table, and just
Okay,
go
your
through all
name
that
again?
stuff and make sure that the scope is everything you want,
KI?
things that you may not need.
Perfect, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Is that agreeable to you? Would you set that up? Okay.
Yeah, Chick wasn't able to make it today, for today.
No, he's down at
Okay,
DC.
and-
But yeah, you guys are gonna need to sit down and hone in, like the furniture, you're gonna have to figure out exactly what you need, where you need it. There's a fair amount of money available for all this stuff, it's just a matter of,
Right.
at this point, we need to start detailing exactly what equipment is gonna be needed and what, like the furniture, exactly what desks and what
Right.
bookcases, what file cabinets, and as well as all the electronics that are not part of the dispatch center. We'll talk about that next, but
So Chief, there was a preliminary breakdown.
Well, I'm sure there was, I just don't know what it is.
No, I understand, and so we've got that.
Okay.
But it's not to say that all of the money that was originally allocated into specific buckets is gonna stay in those buckets. So we might move up and down and below and in and out of the line item.
I'm just looking
The
for
real
a ballpark.
number is 778, and what's left after that, we'll figure it out.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah.
in other words, to this point, we're doing real well on the budget.
Yes. Yep.
In other words, other than a couple of small things that we've added, other than the dispatch center, which we all agreed was an add-on based on the fact that the bids come in low. Everything else is very small in terms of taking money out of the contingency or so on and so forth.
We're doing pretty well change orders wise.
Yeah, I think it's going quite smoothly, all told. All right, so you guys will get together at your convenience, and hone in and come up with your listings and agreeable on listings, and then we can get pricing and I mean, I would say that most of it's going to be no problem, right, as far as the budget goes. It should be, unless it's something outlandish. The one thing I did want to bring up, it kind of combines with the next issue, is this thing from the harbor master chief on the security cameras at the wharf. Now, I read your letter, what Bill sent out. Now, he's talking about two big screens, two big. I mean, I looked at
Right now, it's just two 24-inch monitors.
Yeah,
But again, I don't know if it needs to be that, or if we would be able to incorporate it with some of the screens that are going to be in there. Our goal is to have, I think, they have like 6 computers, 6 monitors within each setup but that's going to control radios, internal cameras and whatnot. But we also have there's a big monitor that we're putting up there. If we can feed into that, that's what we'll do. But if they have to be standalone, but there's an area within dispatch that we can do that. They're just standalone. We have bookshelves for the media that they'll need. They can set up there with a keyboard, and it's all cloud-based. There's no server that's required because the server, what I'm told, is supposed to be in Newburyport. It's going to serve this area.
Okay,
it's mostly just the monitoring with the keyboard and the ability to access, but it has to be a standalone type of system, from what I understand. But if it's coming in Wi-Fi, I think I can feed it everywhere. So if it becomes a room issue, I think I should be able to feed it into the monitors that'll have there and pull it up when I need to. We're not going to be staring at the screen. It's just
Right now, for sure.
yeah, and that's where we're at right now. This is. This is something that we agreed to do back when they applied for the 2 years ago, I guess, and then it came in. Of course, it came in by surprise as far as that it was up all of a sudden. But we met with the company, and so I'm still waiting for some additional information as far as what's going to be fed into the dispatch center. But if it has to be standalone 2 monitors, I think we'll be able to accommodate it.
I was just curious because it's listed the size of the monitors and 2 of them.
2 24.
I know we're tight over there for space as it is with everything you got going. I was curious how that was going to
actually, I can
fit in with everything else.
So this was just one of the companies. So I brought a copy for everybody. So on the front page, you can see how they're looking at setting it up. This one company. I'll give everybody my copies. Anyway, so on the front page, so you can see if we had to do that on this on one of these back walls. We can just set it up right there. That's a bookcase. So if we're not able to incorporate it into some of these other screens, then we'll be able to set it up on that.
Okay, it's got 2 screens, the idea being 1 for each dispatch position. Is that
One for each. Yeah, this is a redundancy system as far as dispatch, but as far as the 2 monitors, it's because it's 2 cameras, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And possibly a third camera, but I don't think it's going to include a third monitor.
So each camera's got its own screen? Is that what it's talking about?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. One's a 360 ever-changing view, and the other one's a fixed view.
Well, good heavens. Okay. That's interesting. All right, the big discussion today was going to be the dispatch center upgrades at this point. Maybe, I don't know who wants to start it off.
Talk a little bit about the strategy for making it happen. Okay. At the last site meeting, we pinned Castagna down for, if you will, a move-over date from, back up, that the strategy that seems to be appropriate, because the thing with the trailer has not been terribly successful, to set up temporary dispatch in the new addition of the police station on a temporary basis. And Castagna feels that they can do the move over, be ready to have a space over there to receive dispatch on October 14th. So the strategy would be to take your existing systems, move them over there, and be ready to start construction of the existing dispatch area, that renovation, and then move in the equipment and set that up while you're operating temporarily out of the addition. That was the discussion.
Okay. So that's the move over. Is it just for dispatch, or is it for the entire police department? Because they're coming, my understanding is when they come in that building, where we're all at right now, they're going to want to continue their hallway, which kind of goes to my office right now, and continue the other hallway and do the upgrades in the cell block, and that's when they're doing all the dispatch. They want to be able to just go in there and not have to worry about us. So is that the same dates, or?
We didn't get into a lot of detail on that. In all likelihood, my understanding is it wouldn't be a fully operational addition. We would say we move dispatch into perhaps the meeting room and provide an exterior access to the meeting room so visitors could access dispatch, that sort of thing. Let me follow up on that with Castagna to see to what degree the addition would be completely ready. And in fact, it may be completely ready. Save, lockers may not be in or something like that, but you might be able to move it.
I just want, right, so with us, we can make contingency plans if we have to go mobile, we'll figure it out.
Right.
The cops. But if it can be moved over there, obviously, we're just looking for a couple of computers to set up that we can do work.
Okay.
That's all, It doesn't have to be fully functional. It just needs to be a workspace for these folks. I've already made contingencies as far as booking people elsewhere, but I just need to know, and then I can make adjustments.
There is one thing that we're going to have to deal with, and I've got to talk to the building inspector about this, is that we'd have to apply for a conditional occupancy of that space, because the building isn't going to be done.
Right.
And we'd have to, I think he would just want to make sure that, any life safety issues that were required are in place, emergency lighting, for example, or, hopefully the sprinkler system were operational, that kind of thing. So, I've got to talk to him about that.
Okay.
Not that you'd have to put a fire watch over there for 24/7, which would not be
I'll
good.
be involved in that discussion.
Right, well, that's the other concern, both for me and the Board of Selectmen, is that people know where to go if they need a cop, if they're gonna come here, or if we're gonna go to TD Bank. I was just trying to coordinate that, so as much lead time, obviously, because there's still a lot of cleaning out we gotta do. We have equipment that needs to be moved out of there, and offices and computers, and we're gonna need to coordinate with PGRS, Jared, as far as all our IT stuff, especially for that changeover that we're talking about. And I talked to Jared the other day, and
right now,
and he's out of the loop.
Everything is in your office, correct? Your file server?
Servers, everything right there.
Right.
Yeah. So, and right now I got the fire, they're in my closet bringing fire lines up through there, so, but talking to Jared yesterday, he's completely out of the loop as far as what the needs are and when they need to be moved over. I got to do a lot of coordination with him, for the dispatch too, so, and that's where we're gonna go. Everything's gonna have to go up and over. We know this because it's on a slab, right? So the lines right now come through the floor, but they're going to go up through the walls and over temporarily, and then we'll have to probably stay up and over because of the slab, at least for our lines.
Yeah.
So.
Well, my biggest priority, and Chief and I did discuss it, was the fact that, we need to keep the station operational. In other words, I don't want some resident that's lived here a long time pulling in the front of the station 9 o'clock at night with a baby not breathing, or a person having a heart attack and saying, "Oh, wait a minute, the station's closed." We need to be able to even if we need to station, if we need to put a small trailer out front or something and have someone basically man it for safety purposes, I think that's a must. We just don't want to. Now, originally, before we were talking about the dispatch center, I thought we were talking about the fact that some of the construction in the police station would take place while the dispatch center was there. Is that off the table now at this point, or is it? What do you see as a sequence of construction in that building before we move the dispatch center, or at the chief's office, or in other words, originally that was all going to be done while I think anyway, I was in the impression it was all going to be done while the current building was still being occupied. People were just going to have to work around a little bit, but it sounds like that's all changed.
It hasn't necessarily changed. It hasn't officially changed, if you will. But I think that if the schedule allows, and we can get the police department out of the existing building so that the work in that building can proceed, it'll be a lot less aggravation for everybody. Yeah, it's tight as it is, and to have workmen climbing over each other. Yes, we can do it, and if we have to do it, we will. Depends on schedule. But if they can get that building, the new addition, open and operational in a timely way, I just soon move everybody over, even on a temporary basis, just so they can
Get in and get out.
Yeah.
They'll get in and out, and your operation will be a whole lot smoother too.
Yeah. I think it'd be, like Greg said, if the schedule allows for it, us moving completely out, it'll be better for us, but more so better for the construction companies. They can just come in, do what they need to do.
Yeah, it's definitely a better scenario for everybody.
Right. Yeah.
Now, what kind of two things. Number one is, can someone talk to the building inspector ASAP about this proposal?
I'll take care of that.
Because I don't want to run into him, the week before, and all of a sudden he says, "Oh, wait a minute, I'm not going to go along with that." I know he's been over there talking to Jason. Him and Jason seem to be on good terms at the moment, which is good. He had a couple issues with things, but I guess they've been pretty well taken care of. So it's a matter of making sure that the building inspector is, as well as JRM or whatever our computer person, the town's computer person. I think we need to bring him into the loop real quick, just to give him some idea of time frame, as well as what's the scope of his work, and both in moving stuff and where things are going to end up in the final plan. And the other thing, obviously, is what kind of a time frame are we talking about from the day that the dispatch center and/or the chief or whatever has to stop moving till we anticipate that they can move back again?
Don't know the answer to that right now.
Is there any idea?
I frankly haven't.
Okay.
I'll find out.
Okay. Because
I'll get the schedule pinned down.
Because it's kind of critical that, because we talked about previously, having trailers for the 911, and because they're still going to be coming up. Does 911 have to come up and transfer
They do both
911
times.
stuff?
So that's the other thing I got to coordinate. They'll do it. State will do it at their cost. They'll temporarily move it, and then they'll bring it back at their cost, which is nice. And the other thing is, which is going to have to come into the schedule aspect of it. Once we decide which company we're going to go with, ordering the equipment, according to check for whomever we go to, is about 8 to 12 weeks out, I think. They said, to get the equipment in here, not to include the furniture. Furniture is less than that, but the equipment needs to go in there. That needs to be, decided, and then, because otherwise you won't be able to keep it on schedule, whatever that day is.
Do you want me to call Ken Ward? I'm getting kind of worried here. He might be going to Maine or something next week.
Yeah, no, if you want to...
and see if he can give Greg a call as soon as possible.
Yeah, just hook him and Greg, if he can, Ken Ward's still
usually,
noon time.
he's
Going to give him a quick call, that'd be fine. I just don't want to, it's one of those things that sometimes Ken gets ignored.
I suggested to Ken, and when he came down, when he had some issues about the sheetrock and
right.
And insulation, that he attend the site meetings on Thursdays. Maybe I shouldn't have done that, but
No, it's all right, but
because he's not a member of the building committee, so I didn't think it would be a problem, and that way he can be updated.
No, it's no problem. The only problem is he doesn't, we meet at 1 and he's done at noon.
Yeah.
So that's a conflict for him, but at some point, we probably need to bring him in. But I'll leave that up to Greg and you and Neil to make that determination. But as we start to get towards, possibly moving stuff, he definitely needs to be, most of it is just be agreeable to the way things are being handled. Ken's pretty good. He's pretty pretty cooperative. He just needs to be advised to be aware, and he can throw a big monkey wrench in at the last minute if he feels like that his issues are being ignored.
I'm sorry, are you tied up?
I think that, as a matter of policy too, he has open access to the site.
Right.
That's he's the building inspector. Anytime he wants to visit.
Like I say, he and Jason seem to be very on nice friendly terms at the moment, so it's worked out well as far as that goes. So, yeah, a lot of this, we're going to be getting now into coordination issues. Up until this point, it's really been just build as fast as you can. Right. Now, the other issue at the same time is the paving and stuff, the outdoor grounds work will be, at least, it won't be done obviously, but there'll be, the parking lots will be paved, and so that there'll be public areas for the public to park, and the chief will be able to, the portico at the back, or the Sally Port. Is that going to be done, what's the schedule for that to be, is that going to be done before this all takes place for the communication center, or is that part of the?
They're supposed to be, from what I understand, they're supposed to be starting that within, after they dig the separator, after they dig the antenna, they're going to start to work on the Sally Port.
Okay. So in other words, once they're done in the back, the chief will be able to put the cruisers and staff, et cetera, and be able to park in the back again.
I would suggest probably after the binder has been placed.
Yeah, after the binder.
Yeah. Once everything is buttoned up and the binder is down, I would say at that point you could use it as intended.
Yeah.
And the castings will be a little high, and the puddles might be a little deeper than they'll be at the end of the day, but
right, they'll be available.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you didn't hear me, he'll be in his office from 12 to 1. He was heading back from a meeting. So I said that you could probably pop over there after this meeting.
Sure.
That'd be great.
Yeah, we just don't want to leave him.
Yeah, he understood.
Okay.
Conditional occupancy for this undetermined amount of time.
I'm going to have to get him exactly what that means. How done are we going to be? Kind of, or what he's going to require, how done we're going to be.
Well, that's what we need to know, I think, as soon as possible.
I mean, if he needs to come to the construction meeting, that's fine. It doesn't need to be all of them, I'm sure, but at some point, when we get closer to an opening time for them to make the move.
I think the right strategy is probably to have either Greg and myself sit down with them.
Yeah.
Explain to them sort of the big picture.
All right, we should be getting done this meeting. If you could both meet with them today, you're available till we have the meeting at 1, right? That might be ideal.
And then we can go back to Castagna with the building inspector's comments and say these are the systems that have to be in line.
That's right.
Then we can further refine move-in dates and whatnot. Because I think the other piece of it is the vendors that come from outside, the communications vendors, that equipment. We're getting very close to that mid-October timeframe, so we need to make sure we've got all our ducks in a row.
Now, Chief, both chiefs, really, you guys, what is the situation with the trailers? If we move into your new building, that'll alleviate the need for a long-term communications trailer, right? Hopefully.
Oh, yeah. If we're able to move communications in there temporarily, we won't need it.
Now, and I don't remember how the building's set up. If we do it in the training room, there's an outside door to the training room. We can put
We need the door.
Yeah.
and the ability to lock it, because I don't want people to be able to just.
Right. No, they're gonna have to get buzzed in, or in other words, they'll knock or whatever, and then
we'll have to get up and come to the door.
Right.
Because it's not scheduled to have a
buzz-in door
mechanism. And what we'll probably do, again, depends upon the schedule, is I would just have somebody post it.
Yeah, I mean, in other words, my thing, Chief, is that as we get into this transition period, if we have to hire some extra people, whether it be a dispatcher or a reserve officer, we're trying to keep the overtime down to a minimum, but those are expenses that we're gonna have. I'm more interested in a smooth operation than I am that we're gonna spend a little money on payroll. The money will be paid out of the construction budget anyway. It's not gonna come out of your operating budget.
But we have the ability to mitigate that too. I can adjust my I can work second shift, where I'll be in the station, or we can alternate. So we'll work on it. Again, we're keeping keeping the budget in mind, you know?
No, I appreciate the fact, and in fact, we all do, that, you guys have been working under some severe constraints over there. All somebody has to do is walk in there and see what, the building was too small when we built it originally, and then, you had all the trailer space, and now all of a sudden, everybody's working out of that small space. It's tough. I don't envy your position. So, in other words, what I'm saying is, rather than you work a second shift, if we have to hire someone, a patrolman, a reserve patrolman or something in fact, you probably should have 2 people in that room in this condition, because if somebody has to get up and open the door, meanwhile you got someone coming, an emergency call coming in, the dispatch is handling for a medical call or something like that. I think I'd rather be safe than sorry, and whatever cost there will be, we'll try to keep them to a minimum, but I want, unless somebody objects, Debbie, she's the budget person overall, but in other words, I just assume make sure that the public gets the service that's required, so that we don't run into a problem. And the budget, there is enough money in the budget. Let's
For payroll for town employees, you're saying?
No, but if there's
you're bringing in employees to be stationed at the door, you're saying it's coming out of this budget or the chief's budget?
No, it should come out of this budget. We pay a cop to go out and do a detail on the street, right, for the electrical wiring coming in. That's paid for out of the. Should be paid for out of the construction budget, right?
I don't.
I think we just want to know. Let's just take a look at that.
All right,
Otherwise,
we'll take a look at it. But
we'll have to replenish his wage.
All right. Well, if we have to do that, I don't. In other words, my feeling is public safety is absolutely critical here, and employee safety.
We just need to know where this is being charged.
All right, we'll take a look at it. That's why I asked you if I'm saying we'll cover it. Debbie says, well, we'll have to.
I need to know where.
But she's the one that has to do the book. So
No.
I just want to make sure that as you're planning, that you're thinking about the fact that that's why it's kind of critical as to how long this is going to take, because the cost can build up quite quickly if it gets out of control. During the daytime, you probably wouldn't. Everybody's there, but after hours is when I'd be most concerned about having the extra help. So, Chief, how do you guys are just sitting by waiting for the big move-in, right?
Basically.
Is everything on the communication center, is your stuff's all going to be moved over and
everything, that's all tied into the move, so.
Yeah, LW Bills came down yesterday, because the 100 milliliter lines, they wanted to make sure that that's being moved appropriately. The chief and I have been working, trying to coordinate, make sure the stuff that needs to get moved is getting moved, and feel good about it.
Everything seems to be moving along.
Okay.
No major problems on my part. We go up there once a week to look at it.
It's coming along.
Thank God that we're not. I don't know how he's doing it.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I went over there the other day to visit with him, and he's definitely gone above and beyond in terms of being cooperative in this whole project. Because
I told him I'd give him a little space in my office that he needed.
That's right.
He'll need it just to get away from the hammer.
Yeah, well, he does spend some time down.
So, all right. Anything else? Then it just sounds like now we really need to start honing in on the coordination and the time frames, and it sounds like we're getting close on the equipment audit date too, to make sure. Stuff is.
So I didn't know if we're gonna. This is the meeting, or is this another meeting where we're gonna pick one of those? We got 3 companies right now that are out there, and probably don't have all the paperwork in front of everybody to make a decision. But
Did we get any prices back yet, or what's the situation with determining pricing, or is this all stuff on the state bid list, and it's a matter of?
We're talking about Cybercom and.
Let's try to refine the discussion just a little bit. We do have 2 proposals from communications vendors for the radios and the dispatch equipment associated with the updated communication center, if you will, for the police station. We have a price from a vendor, Allcom, and a price from a vendor, Cybercom. So at a very high level of detail, there's 5 or 6 different components that make up each of the proposals. One of them is based on Kenwood radio equipment, and one is based on Motorola.
Right.
And that's an issue for us.
I'm looking across the table, Chief, at you right now and the Motorola logo that's on your radio. And I don't know if there's a preference to stay, a preference to divert, or...
Well, there's a preference to stay with Motorola, and the reason being is because it's most of the infrastructure and the base units with Motorola is what we've always used, what we, and what we're used to. There are not only our mobiles and our cruisers, there are our portable radios that we have. Now, the base station, as far as the infrastructure, Motorola's name speaks for itself, and I'm not saying Kenwood's bad,
Right.
But I don't know Kenwood, and I don't want to change a whole infrastructure because this is the base that we're talking about on an unknown. To save a few, I think it's a couple $1,000s difference between the two. When you break it down.
I was kind of in the process of trying to break it all down and kind of scope level one vendor to the other. I think that there are a few pieces of scope that are missing from Allcoms. I think that there were some assumptions that were made in Cybercoms, which may or may not be true. So I would agree that when those are leveled, I think they're going to be very consistent one to the other, although I don't have the final numbers at that level of detail.
Yeah. So to answer your question, my preference is to stay with Motorola if I can stay with Motorola because it's just what that's what we have.
I'm hoping that the opinion of the fire chief is the same.
I agree with him. I do have a mix of Kenwood and Motorola units in my department, but it's not the communication center, it's mobile for the trucks.
Yep.
And I have Motorola portables. The one thing I would voice is that we'll get some feedback from customers of both companies. Product support is going to be a big thing.
Yep.
And that may be an eye-opening experience. So that would be I would defer to the police chief as to what he prefers, and I would say keeping the infrastructure that's in place would be advantageous. But I think needing to check references is going to be important because it's after the sale, it's going to be...
Right.
Yeah, it's product support.
Well, we've dealt with most police departments deal with Motorola at this point.
Most police don't.
I mean, I don't think there's other than maybe some portables and some other fit-in equipment. But
yeah, I'm not sure who...
The infrastructure is what's critical to this. And we're not changing, in other words, we're not changing the base station, any of that radio bases, other than if something breaks or is broken. So, in other words, most of the stuff we're putting in the comm center it's computerization and all that kind of stuff fitting in with the equipment that's we still going to be using in terms of radios and that kind of stuff. So it sounds like Motorola is where we want to go. Because I think if we start trying to switch over to Kenwood all from top to bottom,
you'll have problems.
Or you start getting mixes and matches, and then all of a sudden everybody's going like this. Well, it's the Motorola unit. No, it's the Kenwood unit, and I dealt with that in my previous life between GE and Motorola. And it's everybody wants the business, but it's a matter of what works and what the history is. And I know Motorola has an excellent repair, and at least they used to. In other words, service. You need services.
Right, and
there's vendors around that do the service.
Our radio vendor is versed in both, so.
Okay.
But I agree with Scott. They kind of keep the platform all the same.
Yeah, we're doing enough transitioning. We don't want to make it any more complicated than we have to. That's for sure.
Or costly.
I mean, if the costs are pretty close, that's then I think the service and the historical thing is important because it's what we've been dealing with, and the equipment is, I assume, it's reliable, and the stuff that you've had, Chief, has been reliable, and so on and so forth. So, but it sounds like we need to have. When might we want to be making a decision as to which company we're going for? Seems like we need to do that.
Yeah, the biggest variable right now is how much of the permanent equipment is going to be needed to set up the temporary dispatch area.
Right, well, most of that information is in the bid.
It is.
It's in the scope of
Yep.
what we've asked them to provide.
Right.
So from what I understand, the Z-Tron, and I'm just repeating words, I don't understand what a Z-Tron is. I'm just parroting back to them. They can move that temporarily, set up over there from the existing equipment to do the temporary aspect of it.
Right.
And then they can, then it's just a matter of plug and play once the new dispatch center is set up with the furniture and the radio consoles.
Right.
So they can, from what I understand, they can utilize. Now, we won't have that two-station redundancy during the temporary phase as we do right now. But we'll have at least one fully functioning center temporarily.
It sounds like if we were to have a meeting next week at 11 or 12, whatever we figure the time frame is, I think we need to know which company we're going to go to, number one. Number two is, would Chick be available? I think we need to have a group meeting with him.
And I'd like to have Jared in here if I could.
Jared, if we can get Jared in. In other words, we need to get all the parties together so that everybody's kind of on the same page, so that, because the time is becoming a factor here now. And in fact, I would ask Jason from Castagna to be here also, because he's obviously going to become a critical part of, and we'll bring it up at today's meeting, that we're starting to look at what timeframes and the crossover times and so on and so forth are.
What I'd like to do is perhaps a Monday or Tuesday late or Wednesday of next week, have a working meeting with the chiefs, Jared, Chick, Neil and I, Jason, and hammer this out, and then for Thursday, meet with you and say, here's the result of this, this is what we're recommending you do, this is what the scope is going to be, and this is what the cost will be, or at least what the cost not to exceed will be, so that we can actually pull the trigger.
Okay.
That's, I think, because, we're going to be making some sausage.
Right.
So I just assume we don't need to do that, at a committee meeting.
Yeah, no, that sounds like you're better off to be able to kick things around, the 4 or 5 of you or whatever. And then if, hopefully everything will be pretty much settled in, so if we meet Thursday, next Thursday at
the 23rd at 11.
11:30, whatever time, because it's best, Thursday's best, because we bring you gentlemen up, you got a lot of different projects going, so we meet Thursday anyway. Because we need to start pulling the trigger. At the same time, now the dispatch furniture chief, is that being provided by the...
It's part of the bids.
Is part of the bid from Cybercom or the other company?
There's 2 different vendors.
One's Eaton, one's Watson, they're both quality vendors.
Yeah, so if there isn't a preference one way or the other, I know that in the past, we have purchased Watson directly for the town off of a GSA contract, and the pricing is usually more favorable to the town to do that than to go through a third party, which we can reach out to Scott Newkirk with Watson and have them give us a price to do that. I don't know that I can do the same with Eaton, but I'm sure that there are other options available to us if needed.
But that'll be, in other words, if we're here next Thursday at this time, we will be in a position, hopefully, with barring unforeseen circumstances, that we can say, okay, we're hiring Cybercom or hiring, in other words, at not to exceed, you know what I mean? In other words, we won't have a contract in place, but at least one company will know that they're going to be...
Right.
One way or another.
One way or the other.
One way or another next Thursday.
Right, okay.
It's just...
No, that sounds good. And my other question, talking and discussing furniture, is if we buy furniture, desks, and file cabinets, et cetera, off the state bid list, does that include delivery and setup?
Usually, yes.
Generally, yeah.
Okay, because I don't want him, I don't want a truck pulling in the fire station and dumping a bunch of bugs on the floor. We're trying to figure out, in other words, we got to make sure that it includes,
As long as it doesn't say IKEA on the side of it.
some of the IKEA stuff isn't too bad.
No, they just give you pictures to go by.
Yeah.
Assembly, some assembly required.
Some assembly required. And it weighs 500 pounds when you pick it up. All right. So it sounds like a game plan, right? Everybody's agreeable? Yep. And so you'll contact
I'll send it an email today.
to all the parties involved. Debbie, do we need to contact or have Karen contact?
I think the chief is
You
getting
got all-
direct contact
you got
with
with,
Jared.
Jared?
Jerry, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can contact him. All right, then hopefully if they can come next, well, you guys decide if you need them Thursday or not. And maybe if you guys iron everything out, I don't think Joe and I need to have all the technical details, or Debbie.
We just need the plan.
We just need the plan.
That's all. Then
And so if
what
they
is-
don't,
what
if you
exactly
guys
is
work
being-
everything out on early in the week, then, we're trying to avoid people having to come to a meeting if they're not gonna be needed.
Yep.
Chick might be a different story because he's coordinating the whole thing. It might be worthwhile, but I'll leave that up to you guys.
We can bring it.
We may start having to meet every week almost now as things, start to get down to the ordering deadlines and things like that. We'll leave that as from a week-to-week basis, but things are starting to happen and coming together, and we just don't want to get caught short. It's critical that the police department gets in when they're scheduled to. The fire department's a little more flexible because whatever day they're going to move, they're going to move. And we'll worry about that then, but at least, all right. Anything else on this particular topic?
If we're going to have a meeting before next Thursday, if it's going to be on a Monday and Wednesday, I don't have anything scheduled. Tuesday, I got to be at the fire academy at 11 o'clock, so it'd be 2 o'clock at the earliest before I could be.
Tuesday's not a great day
Tuesday
for
won't
me.
work for me.
Okay. Monday,
Monday or Wednesday.
Monday or Wednesday, I don't have anything
Wednesday's
going.
better.
Monday would be better.
okay. Monday would be better for me too. Let's tentatively say Monday. I'll clear it with Chick, and we have to get
Pretty sure Jason's available all day.
Jason will be
Yeah.
there.
He's
Jason will
on
be around.
vacation, I think, till Tuesday, I think.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Well, his assistant can come then, or, I just want someone
I
here.
would even suggest that he's probably got the least amount of input at this
Yeah.
point.
Right, yeah, no, it's just a matter of, if his
No
assistant,
disrespect, Jason.
whoever's filling in for him while he's gone,
Yeah.
if they, just so that they're part of the loop, they're aware of it, and then when Jason comes back, they can talk about it. If they got a problem, then we can bring it up, but it's just important that we don't want to leave anybody out that's critical in this.
You might want to bring Dick. He's got
Yeah, Dick would be fine.
he's got a working knowledge of where they are, what the schedule is.
Yeah, that's fine. Anybody like that that's,
Why don't we plan to have it at the trailer?
I think, yeah. In this room to spread
Spread
out.
drawings out and whatnot.
Yeah,
okay.
okay.
So I'll leave that for you guys to coordinate, which sounds
Try
fine.
to set it up for Monday morning. I'll call Chick on the way to the building inspector, so.
All right, so you guys will coordinate with each other, any issues, problems, or whatever, just, hopefully you come in Thursday with proposals and plans. All right, budget issues and budget update.
We circulated before the meeting the latest budget. That's for bills paid through July 31st.
Yep.
And includes change orders 1 through 3. So other than payment of invoices from last month, there's really no changes. There are no adjustments to contingency or otherwise. As you can see, we've carried the $420,000 for the dispatch center as well as other miscellaneous change orders that haven't been written yet. I don't really know, again, other than progress in payments made to date, we're a little over 33% complete based on total budget and total forecast expenditures. So things are going very well. And as far as I know, I'm not aware of any changes to the overall project schedule, so we're still looking at fall for the temporary and winter for the permanent occupancy.
Okay. Just one question on the grounds, or the landscaping. Are we anticipating that that'll all be completed in the fall, or are we anticipating that it may well carry into the spring before we say plant grass? Or I know there's a lot of shrubbery, I believe, and stuff like that. I don't know how that was being planned.
The last discussion that we had with the contractor, the intent was to try to get it in this fall.
Okay.
I'm not aware that they've requested us to extend them into the spring.
Yeah, I don't think we haven't talked about it at our meeting, so.
Right.
They do have a warranty on that for the full growing season.
Okay.
So anything that gets planted in the fall and is dead in the spring, they have to replace.
They have to replace.
Right.
Okay. All right. So budget-wise, things are looking good, as well as can be expected, let's put it that way.
It's going in the right direction.
And the timeline, everything is pretty much online. We had that delay in the beginning, but we seem to have caught up somewhat, and everything seems to be progressing. Mainly, I'm looking at the police chief's point of view. He's the one doing the most suffering here, or his people.
They're manning the project.
Right.
They're being attentive.
No, everything seems to be going along quite well. I haven't heard any from the community, and I probably shouldn't say this, but we've had minimal comments. I haven't heard any really negative comments. Everybody's kind of watching it and looking at it, but I mean, I haven't, other than, oh, it's too big, or this or that, or, the oddball things. I think it's been a minimal displacement to the public, and the biggest problem is that people want to come to the station to make a complaint or deal with the police department. I guess there's been no issues with that, chief. It's worked out okay. I think we want to commend the staff you have over there, and the dispatch people in particular, about the fine job that they do on a daily basis, and we want to thank them that putting up with the conditions that they're there, and where people are coming in the doors, and that kind of stuff. And it seems to have gone along quite well. You've done a great job of leading that, and they've done an excellent job of following through on whatever direction you've given them, and making things work under difficult circumstances over a long, extended period of time. It isn't like we're doing this in a couple of days, and it's going to get worse before it gets better, obviously.
Yeah, and everybody knows that, and I concur with what you're saying. I mean, the staff has been wonderful as far as making adjustments of what they need to do. Been very good working with Castagna as far as coordinating with Jason as far as, what do you got going on, where they need to move and whatnot. So I'll certainly pass that on.
Yeah, if you would pass it on at this point, just verbally is fine, but yeah, just the fact that, we do appreciate, I think the public appreciates the working conditions that have deteriorated there, and they're really going above and beyond to make everything work, and it's certainly helpful to us and helpful to the town. And it's been busy on top of that, right?
Yeah.
You guys have been right out straight with various calls and various situations, so we want to thank you very much. And fire department deserves credit just for working out of that building for the last 80 years or whatever it is that they've been working. So it's going to be really something when the whole project is done and we're finally into the 21st century. It's going to be nice. Okay, we got minutes.
I'd like to make a comment about the minutes. I appreciated having them in advance of the meeting so that I could read through them, and they look like they're very well done, and I appreciate
Just have
that.
one quick correction. December 4th, I was here. I was here or not here. I was given credit for both being here, but we have,
Sorry about
in the
that.
minutes themselves.
Good catch.
That was the only,
Oh, yeah, I see that, yeah.
that was the only thing I
That's what
could.
happens when you cut and paste, right?
Right?
That's
No, I
what
have
did.
to admit that the staff here, even with our minutes with the selectmen's meetings, they do an excellent job with minutes.
Yeah.
It's so complete. And you can go back and look and see, very detailed what took place and what happened.
Right.
And Joe and I, as being members of the selectmen, are very appreciative of the fact that happens too, so.
So with that correction, I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes.
All three meetings?
Yep.
Well,
Oh, we can't
Nope.
because chief was, all right, so the meeting
Oh, yeah.
for
We
the
can't do one.
December 4th, you make a motion, Joe?
Yes.
I'll second December 4th.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. June 7th,
I'll make the motion.
I second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And July 19th,
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. And with that, we'll plan on meeting next week at, what do you think, 11:30 is?
11?
11 o'clock?
Works for me.
That's good.
Okay, 11 o'clock next week, next Thursday, right here. And if by chance you guys don't, and when you're meeting on Monday or whatever, and it appears as though you're not gonna be ready for Thursday, let us know, we can cancel or postpone the meeting to another. I don't wanna have a meeting just for the sake of everybody coming if we're not ready to actually, let's just make choices or confirm the recommendations, yeah. Okay, anybody got anything else? Want to add anything? Joe, the Chiefs, Debbie? Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.